Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm happy to have you. And my previous subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, in today's video in particular, we're going to be talking about and discussing Sasha Reily and the Epstein files and things related to Donald Trump and those in position to power, regardless of who they are and what they are. We're going to talk about that in today's video. Now, I have done a video in the past about Sasha Reily, and that was a blind meeting. I had no idea what was happening. I didn't really know much of the story. I knew what the contacts were. I knew it was related to Epstein. I knew it was related to Trump and stuff like that. I didn't really know the contact. This was really great. It could allow me to really see for what it was and be able to confirm with you guys about what I was getting. A lot of you guys said right on par. You guys also further explain some of the heinous crime that was done. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Plus, I have a whole bunch of questions from you guys in regards to Sasha Reily and the Epstein files and stuff like that. So this is a live Q&A. We're also going to talk about Sasha Reily and stuff like that first. We're going to get that out of the way. Then you guys can start asking questions in regard to Sasha Reily and the Epstein files and anything related in that nature. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only as well. I do want to also give a quick disclaimer. This video may or may not be triggering. So this is your warning now. If you get triggered by this stuff easily, it's probably not best to watch it or look at the comments. And the people in below may say, it's triggering for me. Let other people know, or it's not triggering for me. If you guys don't mind helping out other people as well. This video is being recorded on Tuesday, January the 27th at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as to when I'm recording this video. If you want to help out the channel, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, engaging with the content, sharing this video with others, really help boost the algorithm here on this YouTube channel. If you want to be notified when I do post and upload, go into the comments or the description, follow my Blue Sky account and my Facebook group, and I will personally notify you when I do post and upload next. We also do have a resistant store where you can buy merch and stuff like that if you want to take it with you to protest and stuff like that. And is there anything else? Oh, I also have a cooking channel if that's something that interests you. And so we're now going to get right into the dark part of today's video, unfortunately. Now, in the past, when I did a video about the Epstein files and stuff like that, I actually did talk about something similar to this. I'm going to go ahead and watch one of those videos in the past and kind of see what video is and do a re-upload of that specific video so we can kind of compare and contrast. Okay, we know that this is confirming everything, but anyway, let's go ahead. Let's start with the beginning part of today's video. Alright, so we have some of you guys providing information and questions. So maybe triggering. This is one question. This is by Gypsy Flame 1111. She's a follow-up question. Many are questioning the veracity of Sasha as a child between 8 to 12 years old. Allege specifically against Donald John Trump, whom Sasha attempted to unalive due to extreme recurrent SA, which I think we all know what SA is. Was Sasha telling the truth about 5 well-known political individual behaviors? I need all of you guys, if you guys don't mind. I assume a lot of you guys know a lot about Sasha Reily's testimony. I am still pretty much doing like a semi-blind reading. So there's verified information I'm reading here. Has anyone considered whether Donald John Trump was SA by his father Fred? This seemed to be plausible about the childhood indoctrination for cruelty. I'm not going to entertain that. I think it'll be kind of like weird to do a reading on whether or not Trump was or wasn't. I'm not going to do that question, but I can let you guys make your own inferences on that. In case you don't know, the 5 alleged names are Jim Jordan, Andy Biggs, Lindsey Graham, Clarence Thomas, and Donald John Trump, what Trump considered the true leaders of the Epstein trafficking ring. To be fair, he did not accuse Clarence and Lindsey of SA, stating that they were present at parties but never saw them participate in violent acts. However, the other 3 were quite violent and fully participated. Sasha, 12-year-old, sought a clever way for retribution and unaliving the president, who then had to be medicated out of the location. Smelly diaper syndrome may have been initiated that night. Oh, okay, now I know that's a little joke. Anyway, besides the point, all the names Jim Jordan, Andy Biggs, Lindsey Graham, Clarence Thomas, Donald John Trump. You know Donald John Trump is well known. The other three, however, they're more popular now. In terms of popular, I mean like popularity. People know their names now than they did back then. It's very possible they all did. And I'm not saying, I'm not in any way disputing it. I'm not. This person is just saying that, well, these are big names that in the moment. These are modern names. These are not names from the past. Clarence Thomas, however, does seem like a likely one. And why? Clarence Thomas is known for getting gifts, loves parties, loves going on yachts, is easily bought and paid. Clarence Thomas seems like a likely. Donald Trump looks like a likely. Jim Jordan is known for sexual assault. The question is that if this is true, I'm not saying any capacity is not, but if it's true, then that means that all these politicians that's in Congress, the Senate, and all these things have been infiltrated by the sex trafficking ring early on to sway government. That's even worse. That's partly why, it's give or take. Now, I'm trying to figure out what exactly I was trying to get at here. So, Gypsy Flame, I'm just going to finish this up here, and then I want to ask a question. Exactly why many of us are asking if Sasha's testimony is accurate and reliable. None of the 5 names were publicly well known 40 years ago. However, how old is Sasha Reily? Does anybody know? However, in this malevolent group, they cultivate influence and assist one another alongside the money path and promote to position of power because of shared supremacist values. However, this foundation creates their members at collegiate level for future position of power because they have means of controlling their careers. Oh, that makes a lot more sense now, how somebody from the past in the modern sense could be somehow connected. Okay, then that makes a lot of sense that they basically go to college kids and college campus to start basically getting people early while they're young, because guess what happens when you get a young person? You can mold them. They're bendable. They're moldable. You can fix them and shape them and put them in whatever form you want them to be in. Because remember, the mind in particular starts to really solidify about around the age of 25. If you get somebody who's in college, they're away from their parents, which means their safety net is most likely not there. And then second, their brain is not developed, which means that you have the opportunity to mold them to your preference. Why do you think sometimes politicians who join Skull and Bones and stuff like that in colleges, they're easily able to mend their brain to fix that dynamic? Would make a lot of sense. All right, so I don't really know what Gypsy is trying to ask, but I think they're trying to ask about the legitimacy of the claim. I think that is something that we're going to consider in a little moment, but I want to ask a little bit more on the nose here. DM3133 asks, I'll be there, but I'll post my question here. Is the evangelical church involved in the Epstein crimes and possibly laundering that money through the church? I heard they kidnapped, coerced poor kids from the Bible Belt. Okay, that seems to be kind of like similar to what we just talked about, but not. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about whether or not the Vatican, right, or the evangelical church. I don't know if that's the same or not. If you guys can let me know if it is. Thank you, Kathleen. Hello, Doris. Hello, Gypsy. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so, oh, you're here. Perfect. So we can actually have you ask your question here. But be careful of the words you're asking, because that it might trigger YouTube. Okay, so Spirit Angels, tell me about DM3133 wants to know about, is the evangelical church involved in the Epstein trafficking ring? Hello, Candy. How are you, my love? How are you? Okay, we have actually a couple cards here. Yes. Now, I'm not trying to accuse any church. This video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. We have here the first card that comes in is Justice. They are using a high position of power to do what you asked. You're asking about, in particular, about the evangelical church, whether they're engaged in human trafficking with the Epstein files and Epstein-related crimes and laundering money through church and kidnapping and coercing poor kids from the Bible Belt. That basically means taking kids away and kids going missing. This is the justice card. This is a yes. I'm also seeing very vulnerable kids, specifically kids who are who don't have a parent and who don't have parents at all. What do you call those? Orphans, right? Orphans are one of the biggest numbers. They always target orphans for some reason. The justice card is coming through. This means using your authority to get to where you want to go. Here is the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is containment, to control. I actually have a feeling that they're known for locking kids up. It's almost like it's a sanctuary. And this is just, I'm just going to spit out something. It might trigger some people. This is video just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. But I'm getting the sensation here that because the evangelical church, according to what I'm getting in the cards here, it feels like it was the recruiting program. It was the recruiting for the Epstein file crime and the sex trafficking. Some churches, not just the evangelical churches, but according to what I'm getting here in the energy, it feels like they recruited people who are the most vulnerable to the church. They say, listen, we'll protect you, we'll keep you, we'll house you, we'll give you food, clothes, stuff like that. And then the higher up people, because they abuse their authority, they call in the Epstein and say, hey, listen, we have another one. Come down and pick this person up. That's what it feels like. It feels like the church is being used as a recruiting center because that's where the most vulnerable go. Think about it, for example. A person who is confident, who knows who they are, what they are, what things they are, and somebody who is troubled. Somebody who, and I'm not saying this about people who go to church, but I'm just saying this on a broader level, people who are troubled. Sometimes people have done drug abuse, and then they turn and say, listen, I want to go seek God, and I'm not making fun of them in any capacity, I'm just using an example. I want to speak to God and stuff like that. Those people are vulnerable. They will also make the perfect fit. So what happened is the church uses its vulnerability and its ability to attract the vulnerable to it. It's an attraction center. And then that's where people get shipped off in the middle of the night. Sometimes they get drugged because I'm seeing like a lot of like liquid drugs or something powder form in the what's it called, the red cup, like the wine that they give people. That's where I'm seeing where they do the drugging, where they try to put the person to sleep before they take them away onto an island. That's what it feels like. Okay, so you said here Sasha was born in 1973 this year. He'll be 53 years old. Can you do me a favor, Gypsy? Can you find out how old Clarence Thompson is, Jim Jordan, I know Donald John Trump is like 79, but like, if he's 53, that puts them all around 20 years old besides Donald Trump, Clarence Thompson. About the other 6 people he mentioned, I'm curious to see. Thank you for catching the light, BJ. So, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting they use the safe haven, and that's how they ship people off. Here we have the Sun card. The Sun card means revelation. It means children being shipped off. Now, this is a white horse. They've been given an empty promise. They went to the sun. But sometimes the sun can be so blinding you don't see what the problem is. Because look at all these sunflowers. They're facing the light. So although these children are being shipped away, the reason why they see the light is not because good things are coming, because they see the sun in their eyes. Which means that all these kids, as they were being shipped away, they were by a window, which means they were able to see everything for what it was. They were too innocent, but yet they saw everything. The Sun card means innocence, but it also means seeing everything, because they know that if you see everything, no one will take you seriously. Why is it important? Going back to Sasha Reily and questioning about Sasha Reily's story, right? There's, people are questioning it already. What does that mean? Because you're at a young age, people are not likely to believe you because there's a consensus here that when you are young, you're not able to really understand or conceptualize what is currently going on. And that is how they were able to get away with everything for so long, because at a young age, you're not able to describe the thing that you felt back then because you have vague memories, or you push your feelings down, you push things in the subconscious. So you're not able to really bring about what it is going on. Hello, Debbie. How are you, my love? So that is what we're seeing here. That's why it is the way it is. So to answer your question, DM3133, you wanted to know, is the evangelical church engaged in behavior with the Epstein files? Are they in cahoots? Yes. Are they money laundering? It doesn't tell me, but I would not be surprised if they are. And are they kidnapping kids and coercing poor kids from the Bible? Well, it does not mention any capacity kidnapping, no, because it doesn't need to. It just recruits. Because people are naturally drawn to a church in a state of vulnerability, of wanting to be better. But why is the church the biggest place, the best place for human trafficking? Well, here's why. And I'm going to give you the spiritual aspect of it. Because when people go to the church, they pray. They try to relieve that negative energy out of them. That's why sometimes you come out of a church, you find yourself more exhausted than when you went in. It's because people around you, it's just a battery of all negative energy. There's no positive energy inside the church because a lot of people are releasing their negative energy. So all the negative energy is being sitting, and they're not cleansing the church out of that negative energy. That's why oftentimes, more than not, priests and nuns and all these people in the churches, they succumb to dark energy because they're surrounded by it on a daily basis. They're tempted by it because it's not cleansed properly. So if you ever go into a church and you want to know if a church is really good, you go in, you walk out, you still feel like you have the same energy, or even better yet, feel like you have more energy, then that's a good church. Or if you feel the opposite, then that's a bad church. Just saying, that's an easy way to know right off the bat. But that is essentially why a lot of negative energy in one place in high concentration can make people do bad things. That's why churches are the best place for something like that. Why do you think so many people who go to church will say they go to church and then they start yelling at the waiter right after they left the mass? They start yelling at the waiter instead of being a kind person. They say, oh, hell yeah, I'm a good person. And then they go to the restaurant and they start screaming at the waiter. Is that person good? No. Hopefully that answers your question on why church is a safe haven for sexual predators. Okay, so we just did yours. BJW 05115. You want to know, will more men come forward after speaking out on this? Especially for Sasha Reily. You want to know, will more men come forward? Now, in the reading that I did for Sasha Reily, I've said many times that this felt like a male energy. I didn't know that. Honestly, Sasha sounded like a female until I kind of got more into the reading, and it started becoming more male. But they identify as beta dumb, I think one of you guys told me, so thank you for that. Hi Taurus, how are you, my love? You always hated churches? I almost read that as children. Hello, Miss Piggy. That's partly why. So, going back into the reading here, you wanted to know, will more men move forward? Yes. I said that in that video. I can do it again. Let's see if it matches now that we understand the context of what happened with Sasha Reily. We can go ahead and ask. The Spirit Angels tell me, will more men come forward after Sasha Reily's testimony of SA and abuse and among other things? We have here with the Queen of Wands reverse and the Wheel of Fortune reverse. We have here the Four of Cups reverse and the Queen of Swords upright. This means justice card for me. We have the Queen of Wands reverse. The Queen of Wands reverse means spirituality. It means being and understanding who you are. What is happening to some of these people who have experienced some things that Sasha Reily did? The Queen of Wands being reversed indicates to me that they are wondering, they always find themselves questioning, even at a young age, again, this might be triggering, why did this happen to me? Why me? That's the question I'm getting from that. Underneath that, we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. This means going forward. Right? This means in the future. In the future, they're going to ask, why me? Why me? Now, remember, a lot of the kids back then have experienced some of this stuff. Not a lot. Well, I can't say that because we don't know how many kids actually. But what we do know is that the people who are victims are going to be asking themselves, even when they're at a young age, why me? And you ask the question prior, will a lot of young men or even older men now come forward about their experiences? And the question is that when they act when they're younger, why me? Well, and the wheel of fortune in the future, because it's reversed, it means, why did this happen to me? And then they tell the story. So in a way, at a young age, when they go through these experiences, they ask themselves, why did this happen to me? And then now that when they're ready to do their testimony, then they go out and they say, this is why it happened to me. This is what happened. So yeah, I do think they are going to come out and be more vocal about it. It's going to be about normalizing that men can also be S-aid. They can also go through some of the similar experiences that women do. It's not just for one specific race in particular. We also have here as well as we have the Four of Cups reversed. This means the refusal to want to tell your story, right? This is what the card means when it's upright. Well, it's reversed. That's not the case. I actually feel like there is going to be some digital campaigning. What does that mean? It means that some of these people who have and are victims are actually going to either run for president, they're going to run for Congress, they're going to run for Senate, they're going to talk about their experiences. Hey, listen, I'm a victim of Epstein, and I'm not going to let the same thing happen to anybody else. I'm going to run. That I'm also seeing. I'm also seeing digital campaigns where people go online and they do a vlog or a video where I'm like me and you talking right now, for example, and they start telling you about their story. They don't even need to sit in front of a judge to tell their story. Sometimes the moment hits and strikes and they tell their story. I do see digital is going to be key here. And that's why I say digital campaign. It's not a campaign unless they're running for politician office, but it's a campaign to get the awareness that it's a campaign for acknowledgement. It's a campaign because it's to spread a message. That's what it is. And here in the future card here, we have the Queen of Swords. To live with virtue. To be no longer in scared. Because remember, we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and we have all the four clouds here, right? We have the animals. I'm not really going to try to figure out what animals they are, because I'm not going to know. But this is the Wheel of Fortune. It's reversed. It means in the future. The Queen of Swords is surrounded by a lot of cloud, and she has the sword. It means in the future, it means justice. It means justice is going to be served. I'm moving. I'm flying. I've seen this person not stationary, but moving ahead. She's moving. How do we know she's moving ahead? Look at the tree. The tree is blowing in the same direction in which she's moving. I see they are moving forward. I'm also seeing a lot of the victims, even no matter how young they were, no matter what kind of hairstyle they have when they were kids, the adult version always have long hair. I always see that in the cards here. At least specifically. Some of the men are going to have long hair, who have been assayed, who have been part of the Epstein file, who've been part of this similar experience and network as Sasha Reily. I do think that. I do feel that. In the bottom of the deck here, we have the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups means this is my story, and I'm not the only one. Here, look at his story. Look at his story. Look at this person's story. This is an alignment. These are people coming together, victims, coming together and say, this is my story. Why it happened to me, I don't know. But I'm glad it did because I'm glad it wasn't somebody else. And here on the top of that here, we have Page of Cups, wishful thinking. There are some people who are going to be wishful and, having a sense of hope. I do feel like the Sasha Reily did provide some people who have been assaulted, who have, had these experiences, that they have a positive ending. I do think that. I do feel that this is what this card means. The Page of Cups means hopeful, that there is hope again, that justice can be served. And I'm going to do my part. And this is the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. The Queen of Pentacles is no longer holding on to my root chakra, understanding the baby aspect, the childhood aspect, but it's now embracing the story. It's no longer looking at the child. This is the mother with her kid, right? This is handing that kid over and say, this is my childhood. This is what I went through. And together, we can get the justice that we deserve. So yeah, I do get that. Yep. And this is actually quite positive. So I'm really, really happy for the victim that they're able to feel like they have a voice again and they feel like they have a hope that they can actually speak out. So kudos to them. And I also did a video a long time ago about the Epstein victims and how they're going to coalesce together and say, listen, if the Epstein files not coming out, the victims are going to come together and they're going to release their own Epstein files. So I wouldn't be surprised if that also is part of this. Okay, so Gypsy gave us the answer. Jim Jordan is 62 years old. Angie Biggs is 67 years old. And Clarence Thomas is 77. Donald Trump is 79. And Sasha was born in 1973, and he was 53. So let's do the math here. Let's find out how old Jim Jordan was. So we're going to take Jim Jordan, he's 62 minus 53. Well, that's wrong. 53 minus 62. That's 9. So Jim Jordan? No. He was 9 years old. There's no way Jim Jordan did it. Angie Biggs, 67 minus 53. 14. Clarence Thomas, 77 minus 53. 24. That's a possibility for Clarence Thomas. For Jim Jordan, he was 9 years old. That doesn't look like that's a likely outcome. Let's do the math one more time. 62 minus 53. That's 9. Jim Jordan was not 1. Andy Biggs, 67 minus 53. That's 14. Now, so Jim Jordan and Andy Biggs are not those people. Now, I do want to also put out this here as well. When victims undergo traumatic trauma, oftentimes more than not, they sometimes can't understand the concept of what's going on. I mean, remember I talked about earlier in the video, in this live, about the sun card and how they put them in the window where they see everything, but yet they don't know how to put it into words. Jim Jordan was an obvious one because there was a guy there present who looked like the modern day Jim Jordan in terms of facial features, the body structure and everything. Jim Jordan looked like a predator at the time in which his influence happened. Andy Biggs, same thing. I don't know who that guy looks like or what that guy is, but the same thing. Sometimes people take what they are familiar with to categorize the unknown, to describe what they're not familiar with at a young age. It's not to discount that they were wrong and that they lied. No, Sasha Reily, when I read on it, on a blind reading, it came up as true. On a blind reading, I didn't even know any of this stuff that happened. This confirmed his story or their story. So, what does this mean? It means that when he went through, they or them went through the trauma, they didn't know who that person was because that person to them was unfamiliar, but they remembered the facial structure. And so they took somebody of the modern term, the modern day, and described them in that same pattern. Jim Jordan was described as one of those people, but Jim Jordan was only just 9 years old. So I'm not saying in any way to discount Sasha Reily, in no way, because the tarot cards were genuine. They were saying that this was real, this was legit, and I believe Sasha Reily. But sometimes when you go through trauma, you take whatever's familiar and you describe it in the best capacity that you can. Sasha Reily did the best that they can. So, there's that. Thank you for that, Gypsy. Thank you. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but actually, you brought it up here now, so you might as well, because that's your next question. Gypsy Flame 1111 act. Is it true 3 of the men, Donald John Trump, Jordan, and Biggs, of 5 men, Thomas and Graham, Lindsey Graham too? How old is Lindsey Graham? Identified by Sasha guilty of SA beatings as he described. Okay. So we already know Jordan is not one. We already know Andy Biggs is not. We can take a look at Donald Trump because we know Donald Trump is very likely there. And we know Clarence Thomas, the judge, the Supreme Court justice, is also likely. Lindsey Graham, we don't know yet. We don't know how old he is. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at Clarence Thomas. Now, according to Sasha Reily testimony from some of you guys, you have also stated that you saw Clarence Thomas at a party, but he never participated in any acts. Jim Jordan was 19. Oh, so the age is off then. Okay, so could be Jim Jordan too, but can someone please provide me the year Jim Jordan was born, please? That would be great. Thank you for correcting me, Kathleen. Okay, so Spirits and Angels tell me about Clarence Thomas. Was Clarence Thomas at the party or at the time in which Sasha Reily was present? Let's ask that. Was Clarence Thomas at the party in which Sasha Reily was present? Yes. From a distance, it feels like. So it feels like Clarence Thomas was. Again, this video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. Please just letting you know that now. This video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. Nor am I speaking on behalf of Clarence Thomas or Sasha Reily or anybody else mentioned in today's video. We have the 3 of Wands. This feels like this is the little boy, or the day, which is Sasha Reily. They were onlooking. There was a clear distance between Sasha Reily and Clarence Thomas. There was a good distance. I feel like if you were in the backyard or something, I'm seeing him sitting like down like underneath a cabana or gazebo, and there's like a pool on the other side, and Clarence Thomas was on the other side getting the drink. Now, for me, I'm short-sighted. I'm long-sighted. I can't see far away. Wouldn't be able to see something like that. But a kid, I assume Sasha Reily doesn't wear glasses. He can see pretty clearly. For me, no. You're just gonna get a figure that I don't even know how many of you describe that. But so Jim Jordan was 21 to 22 years old, university wrestler, when Sasha was 12 to 13-year-old in 1985 to 1986, time of alleged assault. Also, Jim Jordan was 21 to 22 years old, university wrestler. So then, can you provide me like how they could have got connected? Because 21, 22-year-old, were they from the same area? So we have the 9 of Cups. This means, yes, he was actually hanging out with a bunch of people. So it does look like Clarence Thomas was around a circle of people that he's well familiarized with, people that he called himself friends. So yeah, I do see Clarence Thomas was actually a part of Epstein Island. He did visit it. It does look like that shows up pretty relatively. And this is actually how Clarence Thomas came about. I'm also seeing Bush, like George W. Bush, like the son of the senior Bush here. But it doesn't look like they did anything. At least Bush didn't. But Bush, that's how they met. They met at whatever party that Sasha was talking about. Because the Queen of Pentacles does tell me that this is how Clarence Thomas started accepting gifts. So it almost feels like in some way when Clarence Thomas was about 24, 25, 23 years old, after his party, he met his first sugar daddy. And that's how he started getting these gifts, and that's how he started living offwards. And he was making networking scenes at parties. That's where Clarence Thomas was able to get to where he was, and also ironically met the son of George W. Bush. So there's that. Again, this is all alleged. We don't know if any of this is true. This is just whatever the cards are saying, but probably is. But it's all alleged. This video is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. Alright, so now that we know that Jim Jordan was older than what I thought by 10 years, I was off on that math. Don't know how, but we're going to ask about Jim Jordan. Okay. So Spirits and Angels tell me Jim Jordan and Sasha Reily, were they ever in connection in any capacity, any form? Energetically connected? Did they speak? Did they talk? Did they interact in any capacity? Jim Jordan. Did Jim Jordan and Sasha Reily come in contact in any way? Yes. So yeah, that's true. And actually, It does feel like, I don't know when the abuse started, but it does feel like Sasha Reily was handed over to somebody from Jim Jordan. Like Jim Jordan passed him around in some way. Like, I don't know if this was like a SA type situation. I don't know if he was doing it and then he passed him to the next individual. Oh, this person's easy, or this is the guy that you want. Stuff like that. I don't really know what the situation is here, but it does feel like there was passing, if you know what I mean. And Biggs was around 26. Why am I wrong with the math here? Like, how do I get all the math wrong? Okay, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you all for the correction here. I don't know how the math was completely off, so ignore what I said earlier. Okay, well, I'm not going to edit the video, but just want to, we're all in this together. We're trying to figure this out together. We have here for Jim Jordan and Sasha Reily, we have the Ace of Cups here. We're asking whether or not they came in contact in any capacity. This isn't automatic yet. This is the Ace of Cups. I wonder if Jim Jordan went to a university that was in some capacity related to the church or related to some sort of religion. And it also looks like a frat, too. It actually gave me a frat energy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was part of a society of some sort, like a secret society or part of like a frat fraternity or something like that. It could also explain the passing around. It could also explain how some of these people met. We also have here, as well as we have the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is upright. It means loss. I do feel like there was a type of possessive energy that Jim Jordan had over Sasha Reily. But it doesn't look like there was one victim. And why do I say that? Why do I say it doesn't feel like one victim? Again, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. This is all alleged. Okay? This is just for entertainment, educational purposes only as well. But according to what I'm seeing here, that you see how there's a lot of liquid on the floor. Remember how I mentioned earlier the drugging, how the red wine in a cup when you go to a church is oftentimes drugged, and that's how they pick out their victim. Jim Jordan was like one of those people who was an early on recruiter. So I feel like when I look at everything a little bit more specifically, let's see, hold on. There is a hierarchy system, is what it feels like. So, ooh, okay, hold on. It feels like there is a hierarchy system at play here. There was a system of people who gotten together and they say, okay, listen, you do this, you're going to move up the ranks, right? So we have this triangle here. So I assume, based off of what I'm getting in the cards here, is that the lower ranking here will be a recruiter. And then you build up your influence, and the more stuff you do, you move up the rank. So what happened with the Epstein and everything going on there? What does that mean for us? Well, not for us in particular, but what does that mean? Well, it essentially means that the situation at play with the Epstein files and Sasha Reily and stuff like that, there was an actual group of network with a ranking system, a hierarchical system, where you have to do this to get here. Everybody done the same thing. So Jim Jordan seemed to be very likely that he was part of that same system, that he was part of that hierarchy system, that at the time when Jim Jordan joined, whatever it is that he joined, it was at the early phases. At least we think so, because we think the recruiter is the lowest level. But it does move up ranks. So that's what I'm getting. Just wanted to explain that. Because also, we have here these Three of Cups spilled on the floor. Why is that important? Well, the Three of Cups on the floor, we talked earlier about the church, means that they were putting drugs inside liquids and stuff like that. Typical, frat party stuff, typical stuff that a lot of those frat boy behavior, what you can expect. That's why always, by the way, for any women, any men, you go out to bars, make sure you get the rape nail paint, you put it on your nail, and you actually put your finger in any alcohol, it will change colors if it's been spiked. Just so you guys know that. Or just don't drink any unattended drinks. But my recommendation is, if you're going to go out to drink, make sure you're at a party where you can actually keep a full 100% eye on it. Never drink when you attend it with somebody you don't know or not familiar with. It's never safe to do it. So I do not recommend. But going back to the card, I also see murder. And I think Sasha Reily, particularly, the reason why Sasha Reily was able to know some of this information could be this came up in a private reading well before Sasha Reily came onto the scene in a separate Epstein file live stream that we did. Now that we have Sasha Reily and it confirmed, I mean, we talked about animal abuse, children, murdering of babies and missing children, stuff like that. We talked about this many times before. But the 5 of Cups mean that actually Jim Jordan actually killed people. And one of them is actually a green drug, which means one of them actually died via poison or toxin. The other 2 were either drug overdose or they actually committed murder, which is more likely because it is red blood, whereas this one is more poison, which is green. However, these 2 cups are standing, means Sasha Reily could have been one of the victims, but wasn't. Because remember, like we said, Jim Jordan passed Sasha Reily around. So there was a group and network, and there's a hierarchical system. It kind of seems like very similar, like a frat fraternity type situation. And then in the last final card here, we have the Knight of Pentacles. He passes Sasha Reily over to the next person. This is the Knight of Pentacles. He stopped. So that is where the connection ends between Sasha Reily and Jim Jordan. So the cards did say, yes, they did meet. Energetically, yes. There was an ending period. They never met again after that. Oh, am I supposed to set that up? I had no idea I was supposed to. Thank you for that. Don't worry. That's okay. Thank you, Warrior. And hello, how are you? Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate it. Okay, so Biggs was around 26 years old. Okay. And then you also, Gypsy, responded with Jim Jordan being born February 17, 1964. Lindsey Graham is now 70 years old. Okay, so if he's 70 years old and Sasha Riley's 53. Now, guys, don't trust my math because clearly I had a record of not being right on that. But 70 minus 53, that's 17. So it's pretty likely this person could have been corrupt in terms of Lindsey Graham. I also think Lindsey Graham is gay. Just saying, because my gaydar goes off every time I see him. Just food for thought. You said he had walked into an old church in Italy near the Vatican, not inside the Vatican wall. I walked towards and it felt really negative energy, couldn't go in. Yeah, that seemed to be on par here. Actually, that's actually part of when I went to Florence, Italy, when I lived there for a little bit. It's actually how I started my psychic journey. I already knew I was gifted and stuff like that, but I just didn't know how gifted I was. I just knew that something was following me. And that's actually how I came across some negative entities who wanted me, and they knew I was there. They knew I was in Italy. They were actually apparently waiting for me. Obviously, I didn't give in because I'm not going to do that. But they were waiting for me. I remember going to a church in Italy, and all of a sudden it was during COVID time, and they were only allowing 6 people inside the church. And I walk in, and it was just me and my friend, who's Catholic, by the way. So she's Catholic. She's somewhat spiritual, but more so Catholic than anything. And we go in, and every time I mention the hypothetical, now I'm not trying to insult anybody who is religious in any capacity, but I was in a curiosity, questioning philosophy phase, because I was a philosophy major at one point. And I go to her and I say, listen, if you look at all these paintings, you look at all these images of Jesus on the cross, what if hypothetically, and this is hypothetically, this is what I told her, what if God in the Bible was the devil and the devil was God? Because God wouldn't have to prove himself, you'll just know he's God. Just hypothetically, every time I mention the word Lucifer or Satan, and remember 6 people in a giant church building, and there was many rooms. Every time I mentioned the word Lucifer and Satan, somebody walked in. Exactly every single time. And I told her, and she looked at me, she goes, yeah, that's actually really weird. And then we kept going into certain parts of the church, and none of the stories made sense. There were actually cut off heads of babies flying around Jesus Christ. It was a very, very strange church. And then we go to the back of the church. There was the Last Supper. There were more people in the original painting than there was in the new painting. And then there were pictures of devil pictures everywhere of demons. And then we go outside to the courtyard. And on the courtyard, this is the most weirdest scenario. We go outside. The first thing I step out, we see people waiting at the door where I'm leaving. And they're looking at their phone, looking up at me, looking at their phone, looking up at me, looking back at their phone. And as they're doing that, my friend, because she's able to see certain things and I can't see yet because I didn't know what my abilities were, she started seeing her face morph into like torn and, bulging, like she saw it and bulging. And I just been getting this really weird feeling that something's really off. So I'm trying to escape, trying to get out of the church as soon as possible because I'm freaked out. And I going by the courtyard on the outside realm, there is this giant brick. Now, this brick was dated back in the 1400s, and it had pictures of soldiers. And each picture of a soldier was an evolution of modern-day humanity. But mind you, this was made in the 14th century, which means 1300s. It depicted World War I, World War II, modern-day soldiers. And all of a sudden, I go to her and I go, did we time travel? Because I was so confused because around where I was, it looked like nothing stood still. Very weird experience, but yeah. So just wanted to tell you that. But going back into Sasha Reily's testimony, because that's really what you're here for, not for my life in Florence, Italy, and how I became a psychic. That's not really important. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's ask the next question. I think some of you guys are asking questions now. Okay. At the SA party, fighting was popular entertainment. Sasha was a fighter, but he couldn't protect himself because of Jim Jordan's competitive wrestling skills. Jordan was able to pin him. Okay, that seemed to make sense. Interesting. So I'm glad you're not the only one. Okay, so now we're going to move on. We're going to go on to the next aspect of Sasha Reily's testimony. If you guys have any questions related to Epstein files or Sasha Reily, by all means, fire away. Candy the Brave, she wanted to ask, will Sasha's testimony be one of the catalysts to help Trump be impeached, convicted, and removed? Okay, so I want to talk about Trump's conviction and impeachment. Excuse me. In February of 2021, I did a video. This was during the time that Donald Trump was being impeached for a second time. And I was getting this immense feeling that Donald Trump would be impeached more than twice. Right? And at the time, people looked at me and they go, Chris, you're crazy. Donald Trump is leaving office in like 5-6 days. I go, no, my feeling, or it could be January of 2020, but I was like, no, my feeling is January 2021. I was like, no, my feeling is that he's going to be impeached more than 3 times. And they look at me and they go, he's only getting his second impeachment. How could it be possible for him to get impeached a couple more times? I'm like, I think he's going to be president again. And people went berserk, like literally berserk. Like they were like, Chris, you're wrong, you're fear-mongering. I'm like, I'm not. The reason why I say that is because I said that he was going to be impeached 4 times. The first impeachment, well, obviously we know how the first impeachment went. The second impeachment, we already know was due to the insurrection. The third impeachment, he's going to fail. And this is going to be the last impeachment while Donald Trump is alive. This will be the last impeachment while Donald Trump is alive. There will be a 4th impeachment, and that is the one where he is convicted, tried, but the thing is he will never see it. But he will be convicted, and he will be tried, and he will be considered guilty. But as punishment, because Donald Trump is dead by the 4th impeachment, they will strip him of his title and his number. And they will call him illegitimate. That is what they're going to do to him. But you're probably asking, Chris, why is this important? Why is it important that Donald Trump gets impeached for the 4th time? Why is it important that they impeach him after he's dead? Because it's not about Donald Trump anymore. It's about the people in the future, the politicians who believe that they are above the law. And by punishing Donald Trump, You make it accountable in the future. Anybody who tried the crap that Donald Trump did will be met with an impeachment. And so the third impeachment, which is the one that we're going to be waiting to see when that happens, will signal that he's about to die. That is your signal there. Because Donald Trump never makes it to the fourth impeachment, never sees it light of day. But his name will. His legacy will. His children will. Melania will. But Donald John Trump, the President of the United States, will never see the fourth impeachment of his own name. Meaning that he cannot defend his name. It will come out as is, no defense. That's the thing. So, they're asking, Chris, what is important about the third impeachment? Because the third impeachment means, and when I start back then in January of 2021, is that they're going to impeach him. He's going to be acquitted. He's going to be impeached for the third time, but he will not be removed from power on the third impeachment. But that was back then. My second challenge does something different. My second challenge says something different. So, let's see. This is channel messages at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January the 9th, 2025. So, this was more than a year ago. And this is what it says on the back. Oops. It says here, Congress will decertify the result in due time. So we decertify the 2024 election result, but not in which when he is still alive. For that he will be stripped of his number and title and considered illegitimate. 3 impeachments will befell the next president, for that he has already committed 2 major crimes outside the scope of being in office. He sold them out and gave documents away. Could that be the Epstein file? Could that be espionage? That could mean anything. Fraud will be found on the phone of a nearby foreign adversary. So fraud will be found on the phone of a nearby enemy. Harris may take her rightful place, but not before she finds and meets a young male. Tim Walz is not likely to become vice president, as we have other plans for him, which, by the way, we all know what those plans are now. Okay. So you can kind of see here in the second channel, the most recent one, it talked about only 3 impeachments. We're going to ask about Donald Trump impeachment. And if it's related in any way to Sasha Reily or the Epstein files. Something that we never considered or talked about before. Because we never actually asked, will Donald Trump be held accountable in the rule of law in terms of Congress, whether or not he'll be impeached for it? We never even asked. We never asked about the story. Oh, really? Auditor Wing? Thank you for that. He loved wreaking chaos and destruction. Yep. So Spirits and Angels tell me about whose question is this? Candy the Brave's question: will Sasha's testimony be one of the catalysts to help Donald Trump get impeached, convicted, and removed, whether it's the 4th or the 3rd? Now, I have done many videos in the past on the impeachment videos, so if you want to go ahead and watch some of those impeachment videos, I'll put them in the link and in the description below. Will Donald Trump be impeached? And particularly in related, ooh, look at that. Yes, he's going to be impeached. We know that. But will it be a catalyst? Will Sasha Reily's testimony be a catalyst? Thank you, Diva. Thank you, Diva369. I remember a few years back, you had predicted Trump would be impeached a total of 4 times. Thank you. I've been looking for confirmation from somebody. You're the only one to remember, so thank you. It really means a lot, Diva. Okay. Okay, what's the top of the deck? The top of the deck is this is not uncertain, right? This is not uncertain. This is definitive. This means definite. This is somebody who made a decision already. A decision has been made, and here is the ending. The story. This could be one of the catalysts we're asking about from Canada Brave wanted to know, will Sasha Riley's story be a catalyst for removing Donald Trump in an impeachment? Doesn't specify whether it's a third or a fourth impeachment, does not specify, but it does specify will it be a catalyst for one of the impeachment for the Epstein files and stuff like that. The answer is yes. And it's not the only one that goes down. This is the death card. Because remember when I talked about death earlier in the video? I talked about how death, because somebody, actually, that was the previous video, the previous live. So I'm going to explain it here. Death, when you go into a graveyard and you're walking around and you see all these tombstones, you got to be careful. Because sometimes people who die from tuberculosis or COVID-19 or other diseases, even influenza, if you walk around the gravesite, you can actually get really sick. That's why oftentimes, more than not, when people go to graves, they go see their dead ones and loved ones, they oftentimes get sick the first couple of times that they visit, as long as they follow the same path. So it's the same idea. So what did this mean? It essentially means, with the two swords reversed and the death card being upright, it means it's a spreading illness. It's not the only one that it's not the only one in terms of people who get affected. Donald Trump is the catalyst, and Sasha Reily is the catalyst for many people to go down. It is the illness that spread beyond just one group of people. So now let's take a look at the bottom deck. What does the bottom deck have? The bottom deck has the 10 of Wands reversed. This means the struggle, Sasha Riley's struggle and her story, and pushing through the veil, to push through the illusion, whether or not Donald Trump is going to be held accountable, and those who were actually involved in those behavior. In terms of the impeachment, that struggle, that barrier, it's gone. It's been removed. It's been open. It's out in the void, and now they can walk clear. There is no obstacle. So what does this mean? We talked about how the fourth impeachment could possibly see Donald Trump dead and not able to defend himself in any capacity, which means that no one spins a story quite like Donald Trump. No one lies and gaslights a whole entire nation quite like Donald Trump. So if I had to assume when this was going to take place, it would take place at a time when Donald Trump is dead. Because I said there would be 3 impeachments when he's alive, a 4th one when he's dead. So in this instance, that would be the case. I do think that Sasha Reily could be the one that leads the 4th impeachment. So we have here, in terms of Sasha Reily and whether or not it's going to be the thing that takes down him, we asked, will Donald Trump be impeached for something in regard to the Epstein files and Sasha Riley's testimony? I'm sure many more testimonies. We have here the Queen of Cups. This means to contain something. This also means that when Donald Trump is getting impeached for this type of behavior, it's about the concealing of documents, the hiding of documents, messing with federal information, messing with information that is not illegal. So this has to do in regard to the legality of how you try to cover things up. This is the Queen of Cups. That's the first couple charges. That's the theme. The Empress card is how you try to discredit women, how you destroy people's lives, and how you did it, what you did, how you got the kids. I'm talking about orphans. I'm also seeing as well as that they actually have women who were SA'd and who actually gave birth on site on the island. They kept their kids, they grew them up, and they abused them. This is the Empress card. The Emperor card is reversed. It is a lot more ugly than you all think. And this is also partly why it's also an offense. It's an offense to women around the world, specifically in the United States too, where they're like, okay, we're also doing this to protect women. So there's also a meaning to hold somebody just like Donald Trump accountable for the assault that they did on the American people, the assault that he did on women, not only in the United States, but also globally. This also means foreign women. So this is something bigger on a larger scale. And then we're asking about the impeachment. This is the strike. This is the final nail in the coffin. This is the one where he gets convicted. This is the one where he gets tarnished. This is the one where his name is considered illegitimate. is where his title, his number gets swept. I do think that this could be the thing that doesn't necessarily take him down because, like I said, I don't see him ever being held accountable in terms of going to prison or stuff like that. But in terms of impeachment, beyond his death, the biggest crime that you can do against a guy who's all ego inflated is to destroy his reputation, destroy what he built, destroy the image that he created. So, with that said, when you destroy that image, when you destroy that mindset, that goal, that gaslight that he created, and you destroy it after he's gone, he cannot defend himself. He becomes illegitimate in the eyes of the people who once saw him as a godlike figure. And underneath that, we're talking about Sasha Reily. We have is 1, 2, 3, the Eight of Cups here. Underneath the Queen of Cups, this is the containment, right? This is what he did to contain and conceal the information. This is somebody who's walking away. This is somebody who's walking away. Look at all these cups. It's not just one. Because this means to conceal with the cap and lid on. This is no lid. This means it's all out in the open. And this is taking place after he dies. And underneath this Empress card in reverse, we have the Page of Cups. This is somebody who's wishful thinking that, your testimony could have more power. But it's reverse. It means it does. It's not wishful thinking because it is. It's definitive. It has power. It has weight. And I said this before in the other Sasha Reily reading. The reason why Sasha Reily in particular has more power and more influence than just say any other sexual assault case, I'm not in any way diminishing what happened to people who were affected, who were victims of assad and other things that Donald Trump did and the Epstein and everybody involved. But most of them were women. But a man, that's unheard of. Most men don't talk about their experiences. And if they do, they're far in between. They're more likely to get noticed, more likely to get attention. Is that wrong? Absolutely. But most men don't talk about what happened to them. And so Sasha Reily talking out does it a little bit more. It gives people something to listen to. Think about it. Think about all the other assay things that I talked about in terms of the Epstein in the past when it comes to women. This is just facts. Less people are interested when women are sexually assaulted because that just doesn't seem to be the norm. When a man, we have 27 people right now watching. On average, maybe 10, maybe 5. That tells you that Sasha Reily's testimony hit the nail on the coffin. It hit the nail on the coffin. It has more power, more weight, not because his story mattered more than the other. It's simply rooted on the basis of who it is and what they are. And underneath that tower card, that striking down the image, the reputation of the president, you have here the Queen of Swords. This means justice. Yes, he's not going to be able to receive the justice that you want him to have in terms of the court system. But nothing a man like a narcissist would hate the most is then to tarnish his image where he cannot defend himself. And that has more power than anything. So yeah, Donald Trump will be impeached, and Sasha Reily's testimony will act as a catalyst for the Epstein and releasing, and it's not going to be the only one that goes down. Like I said, death is a disease, and even in the graveyard, it spreads to not one, to many. Why do you think most people who have tuberculosis or COVID or stuff like that who died of illness, they get buried in Manhattan, a separate island, in a disclosed island when no one's ever allowed to? Because when you walk on the soil, you get infected. And I'm telling you now, the Epstein file is an infection. It is a psychological, spiritual pandemic, if you will. It spreads to anybody who was involved. Okay, so you guys were texting a lot, so I'm gonna make sure I'm catching up, not missing any questions here. Okay, so we got that. Okay, so many things happened to me, like when I was young, all positive energy. I can't even tell people, they would think I'm nuts. You're not nuts. Okay, I woke up last year and heard the loud March 14 to 16 to do with Trump. Do you see anything for that time period? Okay, so I know actually somebody who asked me on Twitter, not Twitter, on Blue Sky, they wanted to know about because they had a vision, and it's not the only one. Multiple people were saying that Donald Trump could die between the 15th to the 18th of February of this year. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I guess we'll just take a couple looks at March 14th to the 16th. We'll look at the 15th to the 18th of February, and then the 10th to 11th. We'll see. We'll see if I get death for any of those days, but I don't think I will. All right, so Spiritual Angels tell me, will Donald Trump wake up and have the big obituary be released publicly on March 14th to the 16th? That he passed away. That Donald Trump passed away March 14th to the 16th this year. No. No. This is not our source. Nope. But we will also see if there's anything going on that day. What is going on the day of March 14th to the 16th, 2026 for Donald Trump? What is the energy? What is the environment going on that day? Okay. So it's interesting because we have the 10 of swords reversed. This means backstabbing. This means backstabbing. But it's reversed. So if you're thinking Trump is going to be taken out, he's going to be removed, or there's impeachment trial that's proceeding during this time period, it's not going to work. It's going to fail. This is the 10 of swords. No. But Donald Trump is not out of the water. Why? Because he has 7 of pentacles. There are some more economic problems, more problems happening in March between the time period of 14th to the 16th, right before St. Patty's Day, where someone is struggling with something and is incompetent, unable to do the job that they were supposed to do. And here it is, we have the Queen of Pentacles. He comes up with the big grand solution. Will the big grand solution work? Who knows? But it's something to rise something up, to give people hope, or to make people think that something good is happening, when in retrospect it's just a scam. It's just a band-aid on a long-term event. It's supposed to, just say it's the stock market, for example. He tells a whole bunch of people in the country, this is what's going to happen. People start investing in the stock goes up, everybody's happy, the stock closes, everything's great. Oh, but is it? Is it great? No, it is not great. So you also want to know about February the 10th to the 11th for Felon 45. Let's take a look. So Spiritual Angel, tell me about February the 10th to the 11th for Donald Trump. Next month, in February, what is going to happen that day? Oh, we have Justice. I wonder if something's going on with the Supreme Court that day. Is there a court date? Is something going on that day? Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at this. Could somebody please tell me if there's anything happening on the 10th and the 11th? And look what also showed up here. The 2 of Cups in reverse. This means for me, it's the consent to be governed. It's the people, the American people, being consented to govern. There's a Supreme Court, or there's a court case that's going to come out, whether it's a testimony or something like that, but something coming out that day. Let me see. What is scheduled? February 10th to the 11th. I actually don't know. Supreme Court. Let me see if they have any like those that's supposed to be released that day. But there is something big happening. Okay, no. So the Supreme Court is not in session. Okay, so the Supreme Court of Ohio and Supreme Court of South Carolina have scheduled arguments on those specific days. I don't know exactly what they're trying to do, so let's look at the oral argument here. What are they arguing? Commissioner, City of Kent, Portage. Nothing strikes the eye here. Let's take a look at South Carolina. I don't see anything. All right. So it could be like a testimony, maybe, I'm thinking. Maybe it could be like something comes out. But it has to do with the judicial branch. It has to do something with holding people accountable. That could also be as well. It could be ICE. It could be federal institution. It could be agencies. It could be government. There could be a couple of things that come out on the 10th to 11th for Felon 45 that either tarnishes the image, tarnish the administration as in entirety, but there is something there, and it has to do with holding people accountable. Whether it actually does or doesn't, it's not up for consideration. It's just simply a notion that is to hold something accountable. Oh, it's the tariff? Oh yeah, that would make sense. I forgot about that. Okay, so they can release a finding even if they're not in session, I think. All right, thank you for that. So we have the justice card. It's sideways. It's headed in the past. What does this mean? Something in the Supreme Court is about to change. Something in the court system is about to change. I'm gonna need water because I'm talking so much. But this is the justice card. The justice card is facing this side. Right? Justice is facing the past. Something of the past is coming forward in February. Something that happened in the past is coming back again. A repeat of a cycle. Actually, I wonder if something big is happening that day in terms of astrology wise. If anybody can go ahead and take a look for me. We have the Ace of Swords reverse. We're acting with Donald Trump on the February 10th to the 11th. We have here the Ace of Swords reverse. It's not him being removed. So if you're hoping that he's dying or something big like that happening, it is not. This is the Ace of Swords reverse. It is not that. So if you're thinking that, it's not. However, we do have the Chariot card. He could possibly go to the hospital. He could possibly go to the hospital. Yes, but is he dying? No. He is not dying. He will be healed or whatever it is. It has to do with his foot, actually. I'm feeling his foot again, particularly because you see the 2 feet here. It's one dipping in water. This means fluid. It could possibly be one of his feet filled up with fluids again. That seemed to be something that seemed to be a key note here. But what I'm also getting as well, because remember how I mentioned there was something here with the Justice Department and something with judges and Supreme Court and stuff like that, something to hold people accountable. Well, we all know the Supreme Court does not do its job and does not hold people accountable. So the fact that I even thought about that is pretty bad. But ICE, an example, that is supposed to hold people accountable for, coming over the border. Supposedly, that's what it was intended for. It's being used in other ways that is not its original founding, original intention. But it could be a distraction that's coming to try to stop people from paying attention from Donald Trump going into the hospital and stuff like that. But it does feel like he is going to seek some sort of medical help during that specific day. All right, whether we know about it, it's a whole other thing. All right. Did I miss any questions? Okay, March 15th. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. I'm actually self-taught. I don't really know the actual meaning of the cards or stuff. So if you ask me what the card means, wouldn't know it. Okay. Do you think shots of testimony would turn 45 supporters off enough for them to drop their support? Actually, to be honest with you, no. I talked to many people who do about that. They actually discredit Shasta's testimony by saying that, the inconsistency with Jim Jordan, all those things. They start to think about, oh, that's not a possibility. It's only people in the modern sense, the political sense, or these are people who are known now, not then. So don't think about the possible connection that could be made between Andy Biggs, Jim Jordan, Clarence Thomas. Those things are not the connection isn't there for them. They don't have the thinking skill, the constructive criticism. They don't have the pattern recognition to put the two together. Personally, no. But let's read the card. Let's see what the cards have to say. Enough of my opinion. Okay. So spiritual angels, tell me. Do you think Shasta's testimony will turn 45 supporters off enough to drop their support for him? Will Sasha Reily's testimony turn MAGA people away from the cult? Okay, just as I thought. So we have the three pentacles. They're gonna say one thing, do the other. This is the three pentacles. You have someone coming in here with their concerned, and they're concerned not being listened to, not being considered. So what does it mean? It means that they're just gonna toss out the testimony. They're gonna call it illegitimate, not real. It's just a wish hunt, stuff like that. We have here as well. We do actually have some people leaving. They do leave temporarily. This is the Eight of Cups. They leave MAGA. And then here you have it, the King of Pentacles. This is Donald Trump. He convinced them to come back. He convinces them to come back. This is the King of Pentacles. Look at all these shiny things I have. Look what I can give you. And then you see them running right back. Did they win? Did they defeat it? Did they walk away? This is the Six of Wands. It's reverse. They're running towards the guy, not away from the guy. There's also victory in reverse. Did they win against him? Did they defeat the cult? No. So to answer your question, will Sasha's testimony turn 45 supporters or MAGAs away from Donald Trump and his support? No. Yes, temporarily, but they always come back. That's why Donald Trump's never concerned about whether or not he loses support, because he knows they always come back. They always do. All right. I never forgot when you said he'll be impeached 4 times. At the time, it just seemed so absurd at face value. Anyone who didn't know you would have thought it was ridiculous or impossible. Yeah, thank you. Most people did, and they still do. Even when I said back then during a live interview multiple times with a couple psychics, which I don't do anymore. But I told them about my, what's it called? When I first opened my third eye, the first thing I saw in the United States was concentration camps in the US. And they look at me and they go, "You're crazy. What are you even talking about? Like, they're trying to fearmonger." I was like, "No, I saw concentration camps in the US, and it wasn't in the past, it was in the future." And I kept saying it was Latino, Asian, women, people with disabilities. I was like, there will be camps. Don't know when, but it will be soon. And I was so glad that I said that, because I hope that some people remember that they remembered that I said that maybe I could have saved some of them. Hopefully. That's a pipe dream. Maka would freak out if they thought he was gay or bi. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science, and I'm sure they'll find a way to defend him in any capacity. I mean, look at George Santos, right? Whoever sees him as godlike figure is truly demented. Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is actually a beautiful question. Can you give spirit advice on how we can best usher in the light? Now, actually, I did a video on this a long time ago when I actually asked about how Americans can usher in the light through when America goes through fascism, when America enters into the Nazi phase. So I'll show you that video. Light. Let me find it. It's going to be all the way down. This is one of my first couple of videos where I talked about how America was going to go through fascism, concentration camp. I talked about all of that stuff. Okay, let's see. How long is this video? Okay, so it was part of this. It was part of AI and the spiritual world, darkness and light, when it all begins. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oops, wrong one. Okay, let's see. Where is the actual one? Because I actually have it written. You know what? I'm going to look up Germany. Did I put Nazi? No, fascist. I put fascist. Fascist. There you go. Love theory. They really know how to spell it. Okay, so it actually was in this video. It was in this video. It said, the American Reich is the new fascist America. Is fascist America the only way to survive Pluto return? And you can see here it's dated February the 6th, 2022. And I did a video on it. And at the end of the video, I actually talked about how you can move towards the light and how you can survive this period. I think watching that video in particular would be more helpful than me giving to you right now. But since you did act, I can just pop out an egg of your choice. So we have a couple eggs here. I'm going to randomly pick it. You're going to pick one. That's it. One egg. You're going to tell me what one on the live stream, and I will give you a message for the collective. Okay, this is the shiny blue egg. This is, or you can kind of say that's shiny. We have here magenta or pink. We have here spotted blue or bunny egg, Easter egg. Tell me what one, I'll give you a message. That'll be how you can move into the light. I'll wait for you, but in the meantime, let's look at some of the things that you guys are texting. Okay, so the people in Minneapolis are doing a terrific job creating a unified community opposing the violence of ICE. The story was well told on MS Now tonight, while other cities follow suit soon. Dennis Tucker, I want to ask you, because I had no idea how you were acting this. Are you acting, will the cities follow in terms of what happened in Minneapolis, in terms of like the conversation, the protesting? Is it like people dying in other cities as well? What exactly are you trying to ask me so I can know how I'm answering this? Bunny, okay. So she said bunny. So let's go ahead, let's take a look. This is what I actually do with some of my clients. Okay, so we have two messages in here. The first message, we have eat a banana. Okay. I'll explain this in a second. Trust the process. Okay, and then what did it say here? You don't know what you're getting yourself into. E.L. James. Interesting. Okay, so the first thing is that you have these two different colors. You have a purple and you have a blue. A blue means communication, which is represented by your throat chakra, whereas this one is pink, purple, which represents your crown chakra, which means you're understanding, which means that you're understanding what you're communicating. You know what you want. You already have the answer within you to know exactly what to do in this time of light. So if you want to be able to usher in light, you already know the answer because you already speak into existence multiple times. I think you do know exactly what I'm referring to. The fact that you also pick a bunny is also significant because it talked about spring. It means coming out from the darkness and springing out. Now, why is this important in terms of the bunny, springing out from the ground and out? Bunnies hop from one destination to another to get from one area to the other. So in order to usher in the light, in terms of this period of darkness, this bunny is just jumping and hopping. Sometimes in life, when you are going through the period of darkness, it doesn't mean to jump backwards. It means to keep moving forward. That's what the bunny's telling you. In terms of your communication, to keep moving forward, keep speaking out. How do you bring light in? Speak out. Continue to not close your voice in. And to understand the words that you're speaking is mattering to people with changing minds. Whether you recognize that or not, it's up to you. But your voice matters. Your voice is changing. That's exactly what these two things alone mean. When it starts to talk about eating a banana, it means being healthy. What is a banana in essence? Monkeys eat bananas. That is how we as humans apparently evolved. I'm not saying that we did it or did not. That is up for other people to debate and not for me to debate. But eating a banana provides potassium. And potassium is what you need. I don't know what it does because I'm not really a nutritionist, so don't take me at face value here. I'm not a health expert. But I just know a banana is healthy. And bananas can be made in multiple different ways, from banana bread to banana pancakes, muffins. You can have it as ice cream. You can have it as pudding. There are many ways that banana can do it. So what does this mean? This means that the way that you choose to speak out, the way that you choose to talk to many people, and to understand the words that you're speaking, it matters. It changes minds. It is not one size fits all. So even if I gave you and told you how to bring light in a period of darkness, it would kind of be like a one size fits all. But for you, it doesn't matter because you know the answer. You know what's best for you and how you can usher in the light. And also the fact that it says here, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, means that you are not quite ready and you need to be able to do some more research on either understanding who you are and how you can orchestrate that, or how you can emulate that for others and to find out what works best for you. I also have a feeling as well that you have a little bit of chakra that's unaligned, specifically your heart chakra and your solar plexus in this mid region here, whether you have some sort of injury or whether or not you have some sort of chest pain or under the diagram, specifically like your liver or pancreas or even gallbladder and the kidneys, that could be an area of interest for you as well to focus on. What is this? How did that even came about? Do you guys all see this on me all the time and I had no idea? It's like a whole bunch of feathers. But that's what I'm getting for you. So I hope that gave you a little bit of understanding in terms of, oh, you're an art therapist. That's perfect. So then why don't you use that to your advantage? So unity through gathering and art making, food, play, music, and meditation. Actually, speaking on that, because I just want to take a side step here, on this YouTube channel, I've been thinking about wanting to, what's it called? I've been wanting to do like a little group get together with some of my subscribers who really need it, who are most vulnerable, or who just want somebody to hang out with. I was going to do a little arts and craft event, if that's something that interests anybody. So just putting it out there. I'll probably do like, what to call it? It'll be like tarot and art kind of situation. I do Reiki 30 years. Okay, so that makes sense. So you having some chest pain or something here in your heart chakra and under your like diagram area is telling me that you've been absorbing a lot of the energy. Specifically, some of your clients seem to have a lot of heart issues or have a lot of issues underneath their diagram. You're absorbing that. You need to release that. Just saying. You need to release that. I'm a graphic designer. I went to art school in Australia. Okay, that's really cool. I'm actually was a former art graphic designer as well. Yes, we do. I have a friend to do it with. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Do you wear cowboy boots or leather pants or leather blazers? Nope, I do not. Okay. Okay, let's see. I think some of you guys have questions. Let me see if I'm receiving it. Okay. Okay, we got it. They can release a fine even if they're not in session. Can you give, okay, we just answered that. We're happy that people in Minneapolis are doing well. Oh, I still haven't heard from Dennis yet, so we don't know. Meditate, play more, send love to the world. Yep, exactly. Do you see him having a stroke that week he disappeared? To be honest, the week that Donald Trump disappeared, I don't remember exactly what I said, honestly. If you go back on my videos, I might be able to tell you a little bit more clearly. But if I tell you, it'll be practically like I'm lying to you because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember anything I said. That's part of the thing that makes me a good reader is that I don't remember anything I said even like from 5 years ago. Yeah, I only know like some little highlights that maybe I remember and recall, but I honestly generally do not know anything I say on this channel. Like even when people ask me like when I do client readings, they're like, "Oh, what did you say about me?" Like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, you should have been paying attention because I don't know. Because I'm the worst person to be asking. Because like there's like Celestial Chris Tara, then there's just Chris. And so like when I'm channeling and doing my YouTube channel, I'm Celestial Chris. And then once I separate myself and reunify, I actually had no memory of what I did. I was listening to someone saying that there'll be big things with Trump on a significant day for satanic observance. I knew April 30th or May 1st is a big occult day. I found out it's considered the devil's birthday. I didn't even know that was the devil's birthday. Oh, April 30th. I had trauma back then. Back on the channel, I met a witch, a very bad one. And I'm not going to go too much into detail, but when she revealed information that I knew, and I driving myself crazy because I thought it wasn't real, she revealed it on April 30th. It happened to be the same day that in New York City, a man saw a witch at his house and went to murder her and got arrested. And then that same exact day for me, I also saw a video on America Got Talent. It was later taken down, where an actual witch took 3 apples to Simon Cowell and a whole bunch of people in America Got Talent, and they eat an apple, and one of them is rotten. It has bugs in it. And all of a sudden, she said, squeeze the apple. And after the guy squeezed, maggots and all the bugs came out. And this woman looked like an actual witch, and my guts were flaring off. April 30th and May 1st was so traumatic for me because a lady was trying to literally kill me on the channel because she was mad because I had a lot of attention early on when I started my YouTube channel. That's particularly why I don't align myself with any psychics or any tarot card readers on YouTube anymore, because I realized how dark and evil they were and what kind of occult apparatus that they were in. I don't really talk about it often, but it was about time that I did. So yeah, I do agree that April 30th and May 1st is the devil's birthday, and that would coincide with what happened to me on a personal level. I don't ever see like wishes as a bad person. There are good wishes and there are bad wishes. Just unfortunately, the one that I encountered was a bad one, and there was more than one. But I'm not. That's a video for a whole other time. So, Spiritual Angel, tell me, is there anything going to happen on the devil's birthday or the occult day on April 30th to May 1st for Donald Trump? Okay, there's some information came in for Trump here. What do you mean? I don't have a daughter. The only daughter I have is my dog. Oh, you're responding to somebody else. My bad. Okay, so Spiritual Angel, tell me, what is happening to Donald Trump? Or is there anything that's going to happen to Donald Trump on the occult day or the devil's birthday on April 30th to May 1st? Okay, so let's see. Again, guys, this is video just for entertainment and educational purposes only. The first card that we get here is the 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands means a gathering. Now, what does this mean for me? The 3 of Wands, for me, when it comes to like the wands and everything, all situated, I'm imagining in my third eye right now, almost like, you ever seen like Native American people, not Native Americans, but like Native or tribes, they have like a big bonfire and everybody dances around in it. That's kind of like what it feels like, right? It feels like that type of energy. Gather now, that's what I'm seeing. That's the first image that I'm getting. The second image is, it's not exactly a sacrifice in any capacity. We have the 6 of Cups reversed. And the 6 of Cups reversed is actually telling me this is something in the future, which means that this gathering takes place in the future, which means that their intention is something in the future in regards to Trump. So nothing's happening to Donald Trump on this specific day. But whatever is happening in terms of the occult, whether it's for Donald Trump to protect him or to hurt him, it's going to take place in the future. It's okay. You can go ahead, chat as much as you want. That's okay. And then here we have is the Emperor. And the Emperor is simply indicating Donald Trump. So something about Donald Trump in the future. It doesn't specify who they're doing it for. Whether it's for Donald Trump or against him, we have no idea what this occult like is doing yet. We know Donald Trump does black magic, and I talked about it many times on the channel about him engaging in black magic behavior, which I'll put in a link in the description in the comment section below if you want to go ahead and watch that. But I did talk about how he engaged in black magic, how he used the occult, specifically the Ouija board, and also scrying, specifically a mirror. He takes a mirror and he looks into it at a certain angle and he does scrying. And scrying basically means spirit can come through the mirror and talk to you through the mirror, through a portal, if you will, because mirrors are portals. And so Donald Trump did that with Hitler, which is why Donald Trump was able to do a lot of the things that he did, because he had a direct connection to Hitler. Multiple times, I said this many times on the channel, Donald Trump had connection to Hitler, and he talked to him word for word. And how do I know that? That came up in my vision back in 2021. So I do have videos listed for my vision with Hitler, an updated version of that. And the third the third sequel to it, the trilogy, about talking about how Donald Trump communicates to Hitler himself. And then I also did a video separately about what Hitler thinks of Donald Trump and how he thinks he's an idiot. But that's a whole other video for a whole other time. But underneath this three-up wand here, we have it here is the hanged man. The hanged man is the hanged somebody upside down. So somebody's getting sacrificed, or something is getting sacrificed. We're asking about the occult, and specifically April 30th and May 1st. And look at that. Look at that. Look at my clock. So my clock is really off, but I'm just going to show you here. You can see on my clock right now, it is 5:55 because it's surrounded by a whole bunch of crystals, so the timing is really off. But at the time in which I'm filming this video, it is just 11:08 p.m. So you can kind of see that is when the time is, but on my clock is 5:55. But this is the three wands here. The three of wands falls underneath, on top of the hanged man, which means somebody gets sacrificed or something gets sacrificed. Here we have is a collection in the future. What are they doing for Donald Trump? Whether it's for Donald Trump or against him, we have no idea yet. But we have here, it's a collection of people. I have a feeling it's about big people. So this specific occult, now that we understand what it's talking about here, the occult that's happening on April 30th to May 1st is group of people who actually participate in rituals and satanic rituals. This has nothing to do with like witches getting together and them cursing black magic or cursing Donald Trump. No, it's just for Donald Trump. Now we were able to just confirm now with the 8 of Cups. This is to protect Donald Trump. They're doing something with the occult. And then here you have it's the 9 of Swords reversed. Now this means to strike, and this person is unaware. This person is vulnerable. It's reversed. It means they can't strike. Or it's almost like a protection. That's what it feels like. So your accent is probably protected by the devil. And actually speaking on that, I also spoke to the angel of death, and the angel of death described Donald Trump as quote unquote supernatural. So if you want to go ahead and watch that video, I'll put that in the link in the description below. Don't be, it's okay. I was too busy talking about the occult, so that's okay. You're asking what cards do I use? I use the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Mostly, I use the Eclipse Tarot deck. And then I also use the Astrology deck as well. Like, let me just show you. I use the Astrology deck. But I have like hundreds of decks here, and none of you guys ever see me really use them. And this is not just the only collection. I have a whole wall over here that is filled with more tarot cards. I just don't use them often. These are my go-to. Very reliable, if you will. I also even have my own tarot cards that I make myself. So let me just shut up because I know that there are people who didn't ask questions. He wasn't around for a week. I feel like okay, let's see. When are you doing that event you talked about just now? I have no idea just yet, but it should be hopefully soon. I'm going to probably announce it soon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to this is for the art class, by the way, if anybody wants to join. It's going to be on StreamYard. I want to see how many people are interested in joining. I'm going to see if every person can just give $1. That's all I need is $1 because it's going to pay for an entire class. So if there's say 100 people, it will allow me to do for a couple of hours. If people just want to come and go during the event, they can. It's just $1 pays for the entire subscription for the month. So we can probably do it 4 times. And what it is basically you go to Dollar Tree, get whatever you want. You can do whatever kind of thing that gets your creative juices flowing. And I kind of teach you how to just be in tune with your intuition and to just read and to use your gifts that you have, your talent, to be able to describe some of the things. So it's also innately, people don't know this yet, but I'm going to be using it so that they find their own inner power. But we're not going to tell them that because they might be scared. Okay. Chris, do you believe that the Senate won't vote for funding ICE? I assume you're asking my personal opinion. Well, the ICE is led by the Republican Party. I mean, Senate is led by the Republican Party. Right now, like I said, Democrats aren't always 100% on board with being in line altogether in agreement. They're not always in line with what's best for the American people either. This goes for both parties. But in terms of the Senate for funding ICE, what am I getting here? Do I think they're going to or no? I'm hearing yes, but with reform. There's going to be some changes, some rules that they're going to lay out. The question is, we all know Donald Trump and Chrissy Noem and everybody else. Are they going to follow the rules? No. So it's just going to be like a strong worded message, but it's not really going to do anything. I feel like he had cosmetic or surgery or procedures, possibly, but I don't know. He wasn't around for a week. Living in the moment is the best way to live. Exactly. I have two adult. Okay. I have two adult um, autistic nonverbal kids, and I am accessibility, autism, and hidden disability travel advisor. I'm so glad to meet you. I've been following you for a while. So glad to meet you too. Thank you. My daughter's also autistic. Awesome. Okay, so wow, May 1st is also Bellatine, where Druids and Wiccans and Pagans have choose bonfire that night. 301. Oh, now look at that. Who would even know? And I don't even know that. Sorry, Chris, YouTube ate my response. It's okay. It's 11:11. Confirm. What had the knock name on the face? What had the knock name on the face? That was the Eclipse Tarot deck. Okay, 100,000 Minneapolis people have organized themselves to observe ICE and warn their neighbors. Awesome. Can you tell me your take on this? Someone I watched a lot had recently gotten messages that Donald John Trump and many MAGAs aren't even human. She never believed anything like that. Could this be true? Yes. Yep. Why? Well, and I was telling this to one of my friends who was a psychic and a tarot card reader. She doesn't do it anymore. Her name was Ascension, Sharon Light Ascension Tarot or something along those lines. Don't tell her because I don't remember. I'm very bad with names, like I said. But what happened was I had a vision, and I would never been outside. This was around like December of 2021, going to 2022. And I call her. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like really scared. I'm also shaking, particularly because it's cold out, just so you know. And all of a sudden, I remember like looking at the Capitol, and it was like almost like sundown, and it was like mostly dark purple sky. And I see the US Capitol, and I see all these humans. They were like soulless. Like they didn't really think for themselves. They just going about their daily lives. They really don't think. There's no consciousness. They're just there, but they just don't have a life. They don't have a consciousness. And so all I've seen is see these spirits. They go in from the top all the way down into the body. So to answer your question a little bit more specifically, are people who support, Donald Trump human? Yes, in the vessel form, yes, but they're being possessed by spirits. Because when you have a lot of hateful energy, a lot of negativity, you lower your vibration, which leaves you more vulnerable to being overtaken, overseen by a possession of spirits and entities. So if you watch my Angel of Death video, when they called Donald Trump supernatural, it said Donald Trump is supernatural for many reasons. And one of the reasons that Donald Trump is being protected by a lot of evil, dark spirits is not because he also does the occult and stuff like that, but it's also because the benefit that Donald Trump provides to them. And you're asking yourself, what kind of benefit could possibly Donald Trump provide to these spirits? Well, it provides a vessel, an access to a higher position of power. So imagine more people who are evil and dark and negative energies. The more up they are in the hierarchical system, the more value that they have for these spirits. They can create more change by using the power of the vessel, which is the power of the people who are in higher position, and use them to do darker things, to make more people even darker, and to make them more vulnerable to possession. So what has happened with Donald Trump and MAGA is that people have been infiltrated by these spirits that influence their mind with these almost like self-made propaganda, because the spirits want to keep Donald Trump alive as long as possible. Now, Donald Trump had a sole contract with the United States. He is meant for this time in the United States at this exact time period, which is Pluto return. Donald Trump is meant to be here during this time period. No ifs and buts about it. He was designed and made for the United States. So, with that said, Donald Trump had a sole contract and agreement. Now, when you fill out that sole contract and agreement, your body or your vessel passes away, or you even have a better yet, you have luxuries of retirement or freedom to do whatever it is that you want. When Donald Trump has his agreement, it normally means that he's about to pass away after the completion is done. He has only a couple of years of retirement that he's done. What happened is these spirits or entities attached into his body and making him stay alive longer by not completing the agreement in the soul contract, prolonging the life and longevity of the vessel. But here's the thing. Spirit already knew that. They knew that this was going to be happening because they needed something to do that, because they needed to expose the corruption. The only way to expose the corruption is to expose how many things had darkness in it. So while the spirits who are corrupting us believe that they are a couple steps ahead, what they don't realize is how stupid they are, because the light already saw them years in advance. They think that they got ahead of the light, but the light was ahead of them by using them in a way where they could be able to expose the pockets of influence. So, to answer this a little bit more specifically, a little bit more on the note here, Donald Trump is supernatural in the sense that a lot of spirits are going in and out of him, using his position of power, which is the White House, to create influence on a larger scale. Right? Remember, we are in a spiritual battle. And the spiritual battle is to try to raise the earth into a higher dimension. What happens when you lift things up to a higher dimension? All the negative energy, all that hate, all that fear dissipates. They thrive off of fear. They thrive off of hate. When you take all those stuff away and you start to push the planet Earth up into a higher realm of consciousness, they lose power. So this is the last-ditch effort for them to control, to make sure the Earth stays in the third dimension. That is why. So to answer your question, are these people human? Yes, in the vessel form, yes. In the spiritual sense, no. Their energy is being dictated. That is why Donald Trump has such a grip and such a hold on all these people, because they are possessed. They are a part of it. And I even did a video a long time ago, back in, I think, 2022, where I talked about how the way people vote in the 2024 election will determine the rest of their lives, whether they live in good or live in bad reality. That everything starts to diverge. So if you voted for Kamala or you voted for anybody but Donald Trump, you will receive a better life than those who voted for Trump. That's just how life is. Yes, things are hard now, but beyond that, those people who vote for, Donald Trump and vote for the conservative right-wing media and, for those people, they will live in a very bad reality, because beyond death, they will punish themselves for all the crap that they did. Remember, what you think about after death is what life is like after death. If you believe that there is a heaven and a hell, and you believe that there is a God that judges you, you are your own God. You are your own creator. So you will judge yourself in the harshest form. So those people who believe that, jokes on them, because if they're voting for the conservative aspect, they will be so hard on themselves, they'll never see heaven. But for those who are of the good and who voted for the good, they will judge themselves kinder and say, I voted to protect these group of people. I did the right thing. Even though there's some mistakes in life, I knew I did the right thing at the right time when it was needed. Because the 2024 election was monumental. It was a shift, not only in ourselves, but also a shift in who we are spiritually, our identity. What makes us us? What makes us a spirit? Now we know who is a bad spirit, who is a good spirit. Yes, there are people who are crossing over, but they will always be tarnished, because they already made that the choice when they cast their vote at the ballot. And to those who didn't vote at all, that was a choice. The question is, how would their life be determined as well? That is something that is still very much in the air. We can't determine that, because everybody lives life after death differently. Even when I talk to my clients as well, everybody has a different life after death. If you imagine life on a paradise island, you will not be punished. That's just how life is like after death. It depends on what you believe the day that you die. If you believe that life is like a paradise, you will live life like a paradise, but there's always consequences. So 100,000 people, Minneapolis people, have organized to observe ICE and warn their neighbors. Do you want to know what other cities follow? Actually, believe it or not, that is actually already the case. Even where I live in New York, there is a group of people. There's even like Facebook groups and stuff like that warning people of ICE and ICE being nearby. So I don't even think I would need to do a tarot card reading for that. That just seems to be pretty much on the news here. That's not just a thing in Minneapolis. It's something that's national. So yeah, I would say it's a thing. Oh yeah, it's been sent back here. Yeah, it's just a strong worded message. It's not going to do anything. Humans are inherently good, but negative energy can corrupt. Exactly. You know, Adam and Eve, energy was corrupted. Eve represents energy. Adam represents the atom, the mass. The mass was the man. He didn't do anything. Eve, not blaming anything, but Eve ate the apple, which was the corrupted apple, which is similarly just simply saying the code, the matrix, if you will, ate the apple, corrupted the energy. So energy can corrupt. That's why positive energy is so important. That's when she asked me about the light. The only way to do the light is to actually see it in her way. I've seen him as an exploding boil on our country. After pus was gone, a tumor killing our country was exposed. Time for surgery, then healing. Yep. That would make sense. Spirits are going in and out of him because sometimes he talked with more logic, intelligent most other times. Yeah. Yeah, I know he stole the election. Yeah, absolutely. Even when I did my tarot card reading on Harris back then, it also talked about what's it called, Harris. Actually, I'll pull the video up now if you want. So maybe that does mean that we are going to be brought to a higher plane with a new Earth, and one who chooses evil will stay back on the old Earth. Eventually, yes. There's two planets, but that's a whole other thing for a whole other time. But I'm actually going to show you the thing that I told you guys about with the election, to kind of understand why Harris lost the way she did and why it happened the way she did. And then we'll end today's video. The intuitive view. This was like a couple like live stream that I did with a YouTuber. I had a dream about her the other day. I have to contact her, but let me know if you guys can hear this. I'm so happy to have you. If you're my baby subscriber, welcome my baby dining stories. As you guys all know, interview, and as all of you guys who follow Kim, she wants to say. Hello. She wants to say hi to her little intuitive viewers, right? Is that what you call them?
Yes, hello, intuitive viewers. Yes, hello, intuitive viewers. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so we did pick some questions that you guys have chosen us, and sorry that we couldn't come live today because I kind of went over the limit with the electoral college thing, and so I can't go live using that program with Kim. So okay, I'm going to speed through. We don't need to hear all this. So essentially, just a little main topic here. This is me talking about the 2020 election. I mean, the 2024 election and what that was going to look like. Because we had a question from a subscriber to specifically ask, what will happen? Will Kamala Harris be elected president in the United States? And then this was my response. And it also talked about election rigging and stuff like that. So this video was actually dated. I'm going to show you what the date is, just so you kind of are aware of when this video was posted. This is about 5 years old now. So this was posted on November 2020 when it was posted. And this is the actual title of the video. And you can kind of see here. I'm just going to postpone it a little bit further just so we can get through all the intro.
One of my subscribers would like to know what the future is for Kamala Harris, what her line looks like, what's going to happen to her, and how she'll do as VP.
Okay, so I'm going to use my United Chase of Tarot deck and the Rider-Waite deck. So here's an answer. Tell me about Kamala Harris. What is the life, or what is the destiny path of Kamala Harris? What is she destined to do in life? What is Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, destined to become or do in this entire lifetime? What is Kamala Harris destined to do, spirits and angels? What is Kamala Harris destined to do? So the first card is struggle. Struggle. She has to push through some challenge, breaking the barrier. So okay, so we do have a lot of problems here. So in the past, she is somebody who is a minority who has to break the barriers, right? She's a woman. A woman is actually not a minority, it's actually a majority, but people treat them like they're a minority. Anyway, we have a Black woman, we have an Indian woman, and we also have a woman. And so that's the barrier, that's the breaking the wall that she has to do in this lifetime. She also had the opportunity to become president of the United States if she chooses to become president of the United States. As you see here, I don't know, she was attorney general, she's a senator, she's a vice president, and in a potential opportunity, she will have the presidency. So I do see there's an opportunity for that if she does choose to take it. However, when she does choose to take it, it will be an incumbent. Where she either takes over for the incumbent, because the incumbent can't process anymore, or when she does run, she'll be defeating an incumbent president. So I do see two of those outcomes for her. We do have here, when she does do that, she'll have a lot of funding, a lot of votes, abundance of whatever it is that she desires to help her get forward in terms of her lifestyle. However, there's going to be a lot of pushback. So it's going to be during a divisive time in American history. And if this happens, it does look like it's going to be during a Civil War type time period. So I just see that the United States will end up going through Civil War, as all countries need to do if they want to survive. And so I do see here there's an opportunity for her to she's going to offer something to the country, something new. She knows that this guy who's in power right now, this person who's evil, is corrupt. So we will have another corrupt person, not as bad as Trump though, just so you know. But this person had no choice but to leave, right? This falls underneath the opportunity for the presidency. So if anything, this tells me that she does have an opportunity here to take over for Biden or someone else, the incumbent, right? So that's what it's also telling me. And then we do have here, we do have a lot of opportunity, a lot of achievements, a lot of things that she broken down the barriers. She broke a lot of barriers down, right? And so there's a lot of achievement here, a lot of happiness. If you have here, it's going to be during election time. It does look like, because of all her achievement breaking down the barrier and all her achievements because she did it, and the offer to become president of the United States, the incumbent's leaving, or that she got to defeat an incumbent, is all hanged on election day. So this is going to be an election. Do you see that? I always said it, Kamala does not look like she will be president during a Biden administration. More likely, she's going to defeat an incumbent president. We do have here the victory card and the card that crosses the presidency and the victory card, the incumbent leaving, and corruption is white supremacy. So this person is white supremacy. So when she comes into this election, it's going to be about Black lives and the white supremacy, the rise of white supremacy again. And then here, we do have here a man who's holding on to everything and anything he can hold on to, but there's an offer here, right? And the offer is to go back to the ways of progressiveness, being kind to one another. And so that's the way it's going to go. So it looks to me that this is election day. She's going to go up against a white supremacist, and here's her offering kindness, love, and compassion. We do have here there is going to be a betrayal. It looks like a betrayal to the incumbent. We do have here, she manifested this into reality, and her final outcome will be, I don't know what this really means. I kind of see this as a retreat card. Like, this is my coronavirus card, but also like lockdown. So let me just ask for a little clarifier. What's the card that clarifies this four stories, please? What is the card that represents the four stories? What is the card betrayal? I don't know what this means. Okay, so it looks like she wins the popular vote but loses the election. Yeah. She loses the election. It looks like if she was to run, she's gonna lose. Only as of right now. Things can change, but guys, keep in mind it's just for entertainment purposes only, and things can change. Now, she could very well win the election. However, it looks like because of the Electoral College, she has enough votes was she betrayed by the Electoral College? So I don't know. I just feel like the outcome right now, she does have an opportunity to be president in the future. What do you see, Kim?
Okay, so and mine are going to be a lot shorter than yours because I just get what I get and then I give it to you. So, so the first thing I heard with her is finds her footing. So I feel like there's going to be a period of adjustment for her when she starts this job. It's going to be a kind of an adjustment going from the Senate into this job of a VP. But she finds her footing. She gets used to it, and she is really good at it. I feel like she's going to have kind of a people are going to be fascinated with her. I feel like she has a lot of charisma. I feel like people around the world are going to be fascinated with her. She's going to be kind of a figure that they look at, like what she's wearing, when she comes, they're really excited to see her. I feel like she just has kind of she casts a spell kind of around the world. People just like her. She's kind of exotic looking, so I think they just kind of think that, they kind of are attracted to her around the world. They're just fascinated with her. And for whatever reason, I do feel like she will be the first female president. I don't know if she'll have 2 terms, but I feel like she'll have at least one. I do. And again, I feel like the United States is very grateful to her. I feel like she's going to do something big with education. I'm not sure and I also feel like she's going to be the first person to bring in universal health care. I think she's the one who's going to do it. She's going to bring in universal health care, and she's going to bring in something great with education. Young people getting education for really cheap. Because I feel like college kids are going to love her for whatever she does. And I feel like but I feel like the country's going to be very grateful for her for a couple of accomplishments she does. But I feel like it's like the world, kind of like Obama, the world kind of likes her. They really appreciate her and are kind of fascinated with her. And it's probably because she's the first female president but she's also, I think she has a lot of charisma, a lot like Obama. So I think that's what I see for her. I'm sure, she'll have challenges and all these things, but I kind of asked for kind of the more positive aspects because I do think I'm not sure about her second term, and I know that you're kind of seeing her losing at some point, so maybe she'll lose her second term, but I do see her being the first female president we have, so that's what I think.
I do feel like it's stolen, though, it's taken away from her on purpose. So,
well, yeah.
Be that. And so I feel like she does win. She does very successful, but it's all hanged on the voter interstate compact, which is really all about all the states. So ignore that. That part was not really necessary, the interstate compact part. But I know one of you guys were saying that I look a lot older now than I did back then. I am about 25 years old now. When I did that video, it was in 2020. It is now 2026. So I was just 20. And, more ironically, I was... I was actually started a channel when I was 19. Yeah, 19. It would have been a lot earlier had I known my skills and my abilities and what I was able to be capable of. But yeah, so essentially a lot of my videos in the past have also indicated that Donald Trump would be president again in the United States, but it has also, I know a lot of you guys were asking about, you had a lot of psychics who said that she won because she did. And to re-clarify here, I also did predict a Harris win, but I did say it might have been stolen because multiple times you've been with me more recently as of like 2024. Many of my videos have, even the cards have always indicated both Donald Trump, Harris as victors. And I didn't understand at the time why that was. It kept being consistent. It ended up being that one was going to win, the real rightful winner, and one of them was going to be stolen. At the time, we didn't understand that because that never happened in the video. Because when we normally do readings on Biden, I knew Biden was going to become president in 2020 from the get-go. There was not even a moment where Donald Trump was even considered possibly winning the election. I did say the election was going to be close in some videos and others a landslide. But as in regards to Harris, it was always both as victors every single time. Every single video had Harris as the victor, and the only other time where it did not have Harris as the victor, it showed a lot of red on the map, like in Arizona, in Colorado, New Mexico, and those states where I said there would be red happened to be where a lot of Republicans saw an increase in Republican enthusiasm in terms of voting. So that was rather interesting, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was able to reiterate. But I'm glad I look a lot younger now. Wish I looked younger now, but I think I like my hair now than I did back then. I do like the curls. Um, yeah, she would have been an amazing, outstanding president. But speaking of which, the way if you listen to the context in which me and Intuitive You were talking, it sounded like we were referring to Harris as being president in the future. And I know that we were talking about in the future context, but we also were talking about how Harris will go up against an incumbent. And specifically, it was. I also said it was going to be somebody worse, more not as bad as Trump, but something just as bad. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rematch or some sort of election between Harris in the future versus a white supremacist as president that's similar to Donald Trump, but it's not Donald Trump. Because I did mention that in the video, and I did talk to Intuitive Kim about it, and we were actually thinking about doing a video, a repeat. If you listen to closely to the thing that Intuitive You mentioned, she mentioned universal health care, and she mentioned education, two major issues that the United States is struggling with, and why we have everything going on in the United States now is due to universal health care, the ability for people to get health care. And second of all, it's also due to the sole fact that many Americans are struggling with education. And that's why we are at this position. So if you think about it in the context of what she was saying, I would not be surprised if Harris becomes president in the future and try to fix our education system and our universal health care. Because I did say many times, many people will be supportive of a structural change if the system collapses. So the only way the healthcare system can get better, you need to collapse the healthcare system. And that's the only way to get a majority of the population on board with the idea of universal health care. And so that means that the only person who's suitable to collapse the healthcare system is none other than Donald John Trump. I think everybody knows that. I know you know that. I think we all know it. Donald Trump collapsed the education system, collapses everything. Imagine how much better things would be with a system that built from the bottom up. Build back better. That should have been the Democratic motto. The problem is Biden ran on that motto too early. It should have waited for Donald Trump and it should have been after Donald Trump. Build back better. Donald Trump destroyed us. So let's build it back better. Let's make the system work. You know how popular, you know how great of a campaign that would truly be for any candidate who goes out and does that? That is a marketing strategy. Biden was the first one to lead it. Why not knock it out of the park? Let's say, let's build back better. That's the motto. Okay, so this is interesting. So Diva said astrology, they were at a tie, except Trump had one Jupiter aspect that gave him the slight edge. Interesting. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Because I really would love to know. What a prediction, Chris. You were so good. Thank you. You guys are so kind. Too kind. There are a lot of things on the channel that I didn't get right. So just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Like, I'm not like, like this God who really good at what they do. We all make mistakes, right? And it's all energy. And thank you, Taurus. And you know, that's why I really want to help you guys because there will come a time where all us tarot card readers and psychics will not be allowed online. We will be banned for a while, and you guys need to be able to learn to be on your own. So partly why I'm doing the art class to try to get you ready. To get you ready. Do you do personal readings? I actually do. I don't do a lot often. I don't try to encourage it because I don't like the idea of having my subscribers constantly feel like I'm nagging for money because I'm not really about money. I don't even encourage you guys to even donate. Yes, I tell you there's a donation link, but I don't really even ask you guys to donate because I'm not about that. But yes, I do personal reading. That is something I do. Do I do it often? No. I do often? No. It's particularly because I have the time, but also I don't have the demand anyway to sustain something like that because people aren't in demand for me. I try to make my readings as affordable as possible for my subscriber because I'm not about to charge you $100 for a reading when a reading should be pretty affordable. Because look at the economy, look at what we're going through right now. We should be able to support one another, not take advantage of one another. Yes, you understand your worth. Yes, you understand that. But there are other psychics and tarot card readers who charge astronomically like $500 for a reading. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, if you are interested, I do them. I don't do it often, but I do it. And there are a lot of people who I've done clientele reading for tarot card reading. And I met some beautiful people with kind soul. Doris is one of them. I know she's sleeping right now, but I have met a lot of great people, and that's particularly why I want to do an art thing because it lets me get to connect with you guys on a more deeper level. And it should be a community, and a community should be embraced. So yeah. And thank you, Warrior. I really appreciate that. I like the new party, the American People's Party. I do like that. I do know there is a new party that's coming out up and about called the Progressive Party. If that's something that interests you, I do see a lot of potential for that. When I did one of my old readings from May when I talked about Donald Trump, it called The Rise of an Independent, which I can just read it to you now, then we'll end today's live stream because it's way too long already and I have to take care of my puppy. But you kind of see here, it's called The Rise of an Independent, channeled at 2:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on May the 8th, 2025. I'm going to read it to you right now. It says here, as we spoke before about the game plan 2347, listen to the numbers, 2347, and the brief mention of Trump's death, and our warning to not follow any leader whose plan it is to restore the old dog rather than build back better. So basically, anybody who promises to rebuild the system that was already old, do not listen to them. So if there's a Democrat, for example, and they said, let's just rebuild, let's build back the the IRS, for example. They'll say Donald Trump knocked down the IRS building or just destroys it and hollows it out. What this is saying is do not follow any politician that promises to build back the system that created everything in the first place. Build back the system that created Trump. Do not support anybody who promises that, no matter what party they are a part of. And it says here to stay independent in your own thought and to not buy into the two-party theocracy. I spoke of Democrats betraying you possibly because Trump gave them what they never had. Power. Real power. They are one and the same like MAGA. Do not befell to it, for that an independent is coming. He will come at a time when the two parties are drunk on power. You will know for that there will be pineapples with a spiky animal representing this party. It is possible this person may come from the tropics, or may have a scandal related to an island. Wink, wink. But it is made up. Watch for the party or person who mentioned this on the campaign trail. For that, they themselves are guilty of just projecting. So they're saying that the person who accuses the independent of being a part of a Epstein files type island, the person who does the accusing is the one that's actually projecting. He, however, will not win this election, but will come very close to doing so. This will be the last election where both the Democrats and or Republicans have significant support. There is a 57% probability that Democrats and Republicans will merge together. The frontrunner may or may not run in the next election, but his party will surely be there. A new progressive party will rise due to its inspiration in this election, and a group of independents known as the Washingtonians, with an oath to no party loyalty. America, if has not done so already, will do away with its current structure of government to better account for a multinational party system. This is the best version of the United States for a more truer and proper democratic system. America chose fascism, but it's what comes afterwards that matters the most. Either way, it's coming one way or another. So you might as well have it now so the greatness could begin after. The reason for Trump coming was simple: to destroy a fake democracy whose leaders are already pre-chosen, and instead replace it with the words it once spoke. We, the people, will only accept a life through the pursuit of happiness because of a true liberty and justice for all. Choose other over individualism, democracy over party. End of channel at 3:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on May the 8th, 2025. So that is the thing that you're talking about, like a possibility of a party. That's what I would recommend. If very intelligent people think a system needs to collapse, it is in fact the profit system. I agree with the intelligent people. Yes. They both have been granted a lot of power and success because they were both born on an eclipse. Also, Donald Trump and Harris were both born on an eclipse. Through Trump's degree was slightly closer. He had his Jupiter conjunction his North Node on Election Day. American Indians had a grandmother council that would step in when other councils were at a crossroad and couldn't find a good solution. Oh, that's actually a really good idea. I actually thought about that in past. I think I did my Native American video about the rise of Native Americans rising up in America and how they were going to come through the stole of Americans. You know, like how we talked about earlier in the video, how people like evil spirits take over Americans. Well, what happened is after Donald Trump and all those entities have gone and we're in a good period and the better day, Native American spirits and ancestors go into the bodies of the vessels and make them do good things. So it's good and bad. In Australia, the Aborigines used to come to our school, only the women. They call it the secret women business. Interesting. That's the future. It's going to be amazing. Absolutely. I've seen it too, telepathy too. We definitely need a higher thinking way, as the founding fathers have envisioned, even beyond their own ability at that time. Yeah, we definitely do. I do know that there is a constitutional convention that is currently underway. We just got to make sure we postpone that up until 2035, I believe. That's when Pluto return comes for the U.S. Constitution, and that's when we're going to start to see massive changes in terms of the law and stuff like that for the United States. So the United States is not out of this for a while. We won't be out of this until around 2045. FYI, there's a world-class astrologist from Eastern Europe who is an expert on eclipses and world leader through human history. He's very meticulous and cautious. When asked, he said he believes she'll win. Interesting. Yeah, so, you know, people have saw she win. Like, obviously, I always saw it. But in that video, it always indicated that Trump was going to win because he was the de facto Pluto return, and that's what I always saw. But I did see Harris winning, but you know how I said the key word in that video? She can only be elected president if it's not under a Biden administration. She ran under a Biden administration. Biden refused to step down, therefore, with the Biden administration, so therefore she lost. Had she been president, it would have got rid of the need for a woman president. I'm not saying that, you know, we shouldn't have a woman president, but it got rid of the narrative that, oh, we can't have a woman president, because remember, the Republicans want their woman president because they're mad that a black guy won for the Democratic Party as president, so they want their breaking walls. So they're going to do anything to stonewall any women from entering politics if it doesn't benefit that specific party. So that's what I'm getting. That's what I've been seeing. I mean, it's pretty obvious what they were trying to do. I mean, it doesn't take somebody with a brain to figure that one out, but that's essentially what the goal was. I was born on a full moon. I don't know what it means, though. I was born a year after. Well, actually, was born like a year before. Probably 11 months before 9/11. I don't know why I mentioned that. Anyway, it's not like you need to know that. Three judicial, legislative, and executive branches were modeled on the Native American government, but we left out the fourth most critical one, the Grandmother Council. Actually, speaking of that, I actually did my Native American video. I actually talked about how I wanted to create a council where Native Americans, like each one, had a representative from each tribe, and they dictated and acted a check and balance on all structures of government between the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch, because you all know they're corrupt and they can't depend on each other to do the right thing. The Native American Council would be a check and balance on all three branches. But that was just my idea. So do you think this means Harris will defeat Vance in 2028? I think the conditions need to be correct and right for that prediction to come true, but it never specified when it was going to happen. But if anything, it does look like Vance will be president as of now, according to what I got in that reading back then in 2020. We just didn't know who that guy was going to be, but we just knew it wasn't Pence because it wasn't going to be Pence. Well, I'm twice your age. You could be my son, lol. Yeah, well, it could be. All right, guys, I'm gonna go. Good night, Debbie. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Love you. Have a great night. There's a lot of footage for me to get through, a lot of timestamps, so I gotta crunch it. But thank you all so much. Truly, it's been a pleasure. I know a lot of you guys are all new here, so thank you all. Thank you to Warrior. Thank you, Doris, Debbie, Dennis, James, of course, and a whole bunch more of you guys as well, Taurus. So thank you all of you guys truly for coming on and watching this video with me. It really was a pleasure. This is the first time we actually had more consistently a lot of people on, past 10 people. So it really made me happy. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys whenever. All right, bye.